We really did not know if this was going to happen at all until earlier today.
Right. This was
what happened here?
All this social media. This was all kind of a back and forth on social media, you know, kind of invoking, you know, this make my day, you know. This was not what I was expecting of how this isn't the traditional path for setting up the presidential debates. You know, there's normally like this very formulaic.
Yes, right.
There's a commission on debates, and this is sort of outside of the boundaries of that. And I guess we shouldn't be surprised. It's 2024.
Well, if you're with us on Bloomberg TV or YouTube, you can see the post earlier today from Donald Trump. The last line says it all. Let's get ready to rumble. By the way, I thought we'd get sued if we said that. That's a very touchy thing. You can look it up. Google it. The fact of the matter is, you're right. The Commission on Presidential Debates was there to serve a purpose, setting the rules, finding the dates, the locations, all of which had been mapped out. Now, neither party wants anything to do with this institution in American politics. Is there no point to have the commission any longer?
Well, I guess the commission we'll see what happens at the end of this election cycle. Is there really no other debate? Is there no debate through the commission? Is this just totally going off on its own train? Which it seems like it will be. But you know,
there'll be no audience.
We'll have to watch. Yeah.
And they'll have the opportunity, at least we've been told, moderators to be able to cut off their mics. Kailey, I don't know if they've actually agreed to that, but that would set a new precedent. Shutting a mic off on a president of the United States while talking policy?
That would be new. And I know there's also discussion about would there be debates on other TV networks. They've got CNN and ABC.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
Trump's floating a Fox
Trump
debate.
wants Fox, and I'm sure there's some other networks that might want to get involved. But for now, it's just those two, I guess. But we could, you know, who knows? We're talking here. What's going on, you know, X, formerly Twitter.
I say we take this on the road. This could be a tour.
Could be fun. But of course, while we're thinking about what happens between now and this first debate on June 27th, Donald Trump could be a convicted felon at that point. We don't actually know. His trial in New York seems close to wrapping up. And on that note, Kate, a lot of members of Congress have been visitors at that trial in New York, including yesterday the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, after just being saved by Democrats who voted to table Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate. We've had a lot of conversation here on Balance of Power about how you could see why Mike Johnson would feel the need to be close to Donald Trump. But did he just also ruin his chances of being saved once again, if necessary?
Well, we did see some Democrats criticize, and you heard people, even some, you know, Republicans who are the never-Trumpers said, you know, here's a man who, you know, says sort of his code is the Bible. You know, he's at this, as we've discussed before, some of these salacious details have come out in this trial. So kind of an interesting juxtaposition, but it certainly offered him an opportunity to show his loyalty to Trump when, you know, Trump has said, you know, he didn't want Johnson to lose the gavel. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago, recently? But he said, well, you know, maybe there'll be another time for that. So kind of putting him on edge. And here's Johnson taking the opportunity to physically sort of show his loyalty by being there. He was quickly back, though. I mean, I know we have airplanes and everything, but he was suddenly back in Washington. It was a very quick trip, but certainly he was there for the photo ops and a show of loyalty. And we've seen other members of Congress, especially those who maybe are on the list or rumored to be on the list for vice president. J.D. Vance has been there, senator from Ohio. So it seems to be a hot ticket for Republicans in Congress and on the VP list.
If you're going to go kiss the ring, you got to go to New York. Bloomberg Government's Kate Ackely. We thank you, Kate, as always, for joining us at the table as we turn now to the economy. An April CPI, the printout this morning showing inflation ebbing for the first time in 6 months. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre reacting to the data earlier today. Here she is.
We understand we have a lot more work to do. We get that. But I would state that inflation is down more than 60%, with the lowest core inflation in 3 years, and grocery prices fell over the last 3 months. Wages are up more than the prices over the last year, and since the pandemic, more than 15 million jobs created, and unemployment is under 4%, and that is the longest stretch that we have seen in over 50 years.
Let's bring in Bloomberg's Edward Harrison for more on this. Edward, great to have you back at the table. It's good to see you. Is the euphoria shared by Wall Street and the White House justified?
You know, that's a good question, because I think that it's justified for Wall Street because the numbers were good enough to keep the rally going. You know, there's no chance of recession. But really, if you look at the numbers, 0.3% month on month, both in core and in the headline, if you multiply that out, you know, 12 times 12, that gets you to almost 4%, you know, for a yearly number. So we're at a run rate that's about 4%. That's not that great.
So no Fed cuts then? Joe Biden has said he stands by his view that the Fed will be cutting this year.
Well, you know, it was interesting because just yesterday, Jerome Powell was in Amsterdam and he was talking, and he said that he has less confidence now than he did a little while ago in the inflation rate coming down to 2%. And that was before these numbers came out. This is after PPI came out yesterday. So really what it tells you is that the Fed is going to be on hold for a very long period of time. And we need those numbers to come down a lot more in order for the Fed to get there.
Is September still in play then, in your view, from your view on the economics team, not Fed funds futures?
Right. I think that, yes, it is in play, but you really have to see those numbers drop precipitously. I think, you know, if you look at all the numbers, you know, PCE inflation, CPI inflation, if you get numbers that have twos in front of them, 2.9%, the Fed will feel like they can get going with the cuts.
We know that the Fed likes to signal a lot to markets. Markets like to read into economic data as a way to try to gauge what they think the Fed will do. And I just wonder, as we get closer and closer to the election, when the market might start reading economic data and not considering what the Fed will do, but what it means for the election. If it means that rate cuts aren't going to come, or that the job market is softening and that may dampen Joe Biden's prospects, for example. I wonder if these narratives start to get crossed, Ed.
That last bit that you said about the job cuts, that is the interesting bit, because I think that's what will get the Fed going. You know, if we start looking at jobless claims numbers and then we start looking at unemployment rate, you heard the Biden administration's press secretary talking about unemployment below 4% for the longest stretch in like 50 years. Well, what if the unemployment rate gets above 4%? Then suddenly we're looking at the potential that if the Fed doesn't cut, recession is, so, you know, they would want to have a preemptive cut to prevent that from happening.
But you could also argue that above 4% is necessary to win this war on inflation, right?
You could, but, you know, it seems that the Fed really wants a soft landing. And so, you know, we're between a rock and a hard place in terms of that, because obviously you have to get inflation down below 3%, but at the same time, if you get the unemployment rate above 4%, then it starts to look a little rocky.
The dual mandate argues with itself again.